Welcome to the Risk Taker Podcast. I'm your host, Ebens, man. How y'all guys feeling today, man? I hope y'all guys have an amazing day, amazing week, amazing weekend, man. Listen, each day that God give you, bless somebody with your skill, with your gift.
Welcome to the Risk Taker Podcast, made for those who've taken the leap and those who are ready to bet on themselves and chase their dreams.
Well, listen, man, I have another one for you inside the mobile office, man. Another successful entrepreneur. We have Andrea inside the mobile office with us. How you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you for inviting me here.
Nice. So before we get started for the audience, can you let the audience know who you are, what you're about, and we could get to this episode?
Certainly, I can try. I would start off by saying I'm a daughter, first and foremost. I am a mom of two incredible little boys, a wife, and I'm also the founder of a company called Oceeto. That's Oceeto. And I am the creator and patenter, if you will, of a product called the cardigan. And that's our first product for Oceeto. And we're really focused on coming up with products that help caregivers, particularly starting off with moms, but recognizing that taking care of others or self is really critical. I think over the past few years, we've seen that. And so that is my mission.
Awesome. What made you took a risk on that dream, like on that particular dream? What made you took a risk on that? Bet on yourself.
That's a good question. I would say it would be a couple of things. It would start primarily with my faith journey, feeling really strongly that I want to be found when my life is over, having done the things that I was tasked to do, what was put in front of me, that I finished well. And also realizing that my life is finite. I get one life to live. And so I didn't want to take any shortcuts. I didn't want to take any easy way out and realize that I'm going to look back when it's all said and done and be like, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have at least tried.
Yep.
And so I think those are the things that really pushed me to at least give it a shot and try this journey as an entrepreneur, to bet on myself.
Nice. You say something, because you don't want to be on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And be like, man, I didn't bet on myself. I didn't take the risk. One of my mentor always say, where you're going to find the most dreams is in the cemetery. Because a lot of people didn't bet on themselves. They didn't take any risks.
Yeah.
No? Because I always say that if God give you an idea, God give you a dream, a vision, it's up to you now as the individual to make it bring to life. No?
Yeah.
Because we, as entrepreneur, we pray for certain things. We pray for God, give us this business, give us this. Yeah. But when God give us this crazy idea, you just can't sit on it. You know? You got to take action, which you did. Yeah. You took action. That's what mattered the most. Like, cause I was reading your bio, right? And it said you were an attorney. How an attorney from an attorney to this? Like, how was that transition? How was that?
That was not easy.
It's Evans, host of the Risk Taker Podcast, and this episode is sponsored by OWIG Apparel. If you've been building, grinding, and betting on yourself, it's time your wardrobe match your mindset. From the bold Risk Taker hoodie to the signature Dream Chaser tee and jogger set, every piece is designed to remind you why you started. Head over to OWIGapparel.com and use code RISKTAKER to get 20% off of your order. Because when you work in purpose, your clothes should speak before you do. Let's get back to the episode.
I think my husband would say that too. I would say that from the very beginning, I grew up in a family where we had certain expectations and certain traditional expectations of what success looked like. And for a long time, I bought into that. There's nothing wrong with family and community setting high expectations. That's really important. I think where I went wrong is that I allowed myself to be boxed in and think you can only be successful if you do A, B, and C. Anything outside of that is not success and shouldn't be pursued. In fact, you should fear that or shy away from that. And so while I love the intellectual rigor, I love my education and what doors that opened for me, the level of excellence, what professionalism looks like. I loved learning those skills. I don't necessarily know if that was really for me. Like if I had the mindset that I have now back then, I don't know if I would have pursued that. So I pursued this career. I found it very unfulfilling and I knew it right away. There is something that's called the golden handcuffs, where you have gotten yourself into debt. And now in order to get yourself out of debt, you need to work out of debt. And so I found myself in that position, but in a role I really did not like. But I knew the numbers, right? So in fact, when I first graduated from law school and I started my big fancy job, I would, anytime I would look online and I would see something nice that I wanted to buy, I would dial, this is back in the day, I would dial my student lender. And they had like an automated voice that would say, you owe $5 million. Your last payment of 3 cents has been received. You will pay this off in the year 3006. And I would hang it up and I was like, I don't need those shoes. I'm good. Wow. I don't need them, because it was so clear to me that in order to get out of that debt, I had to keep going in this role that I did not like. And it was so terrifying. I remember asking God, like, get me out of this. But when you ask God for something, it doesn't necessarily go the way you intended.
Yep, that's very true.
I found myself in the Great Recession and the first attorneys in or the first out. And so I was laid off and I was like, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? And I remember thinking, okay, God, you're going to give me a new legal job. That's what's going to happen. And that wasn't necessarily how it happened. I ended up doing a lot of freelance legal work. I got married and I found myself working in legal community and spaces, but no longer practicing anymore. And that was actually very freeing. I found myself realizing like, wow, this brings in the things that I love the most, but working in more traditional business settings, working for my church. So putting my legal skills to work in a way that I had never imagined. And so that was the first step. I think it was incremental. I wish I could say that I'm the kind of person that's like a Moses. Okay, we're just going to walk out in this sea. But I know that I have needed the steps, the incremental steps. And I would encourage your listeners or anyone really not to despise either version. If you're the person that hops out of the boat and is like, I'm here for it, I can do this, that's fantastic. But if you're also the person that needs to take the steps, you need to slowly get there. Don't despise that and recognize that you have something to offer. Your journey still matters. Every step of it matters. So I found myself slowly getting outside traditional legal practice and moving further and further towards what I believe is what I'm supposed to be doing, like what I'm doing today. After I got into, it was the confluence of, it's basically legal operations. It's how you apply the law and take technology to make it more efficient. And then after that, I had my first child. I had my experience that led me to come up with the cardigan. But in my head, I was like, well, I mean, this is just like something I do on the side. I can't, we'll just leave that off to the side. But slowly but surely, I realized my legal skills allowed me to begin investigating, could I get a patent on this? It allowed me to do really good research. It allowed me to line up surveys of moms. It gave me the skills and I was equipped to do the things necessary to actually begin developing this product. And I had no idea. I thought I was doing it on the side. And slowly but surely, I came to the point where I said, all right, am I going to give this my full effort or not? It was actually when the shutdown happened. And my husband said, okay, you're home with the kids. What are you doing? This would be the prime time. And I was like, sure, fine. And I really went after it, but it did take step after step after step for me to get to the point where I could let go of what I had seen as the only viable way of success and realize there are so many other ways. And more importantly, there are ways for me. Just because this is great for other people doesn't mean it's great for me.
You mentioned something. How is it to have, because your husband pushed you to.
He did,
He pushed you, right? How is it to have like a supporting spouse? No, that see the vision. No, and that just don't sit around. No, it push you. Like, how is that to have you married? I'm married. No, I know how it is to have kids. No, to have a supporting. I always tell people that my wife is my best friend, my business partner. After God, she's my everything.
Yeah.
Now she pushed me to be a better man, a better husband. Like, how is it for you now as a wife, to have that supporting spouse? Yeah. How important it is? Can you speak a little bit on that?
I think it depends on when you catch me, but overall, I will say it's critical. Mm-hmm. Who you choose to surround yourself with is critical. That's scriptural. You'll find that in business. That is critical, but it's so critical when it's in the home. And even though he's not necessarily the inventor, he's not out here doing the hustle. He is the one that when I was down and I'm like, am I crazy? He was the one that was like, no, you're not crazy. He's also the one that really helped me finance this. Even when I was making a shift, in terms of, financially looking at the numbers, what does it look like if we, go down to one income or if I'm working part-time? He was the one that was like, we can do this. We can do this. He's also the one that has, at every single critical juncture of the business, it's been his voice that's been leading the way. Even if he's not, the one that's directly involved with it on the day to day. And in fact, the story I tell about the cardigan, my son, the long and short of it is that I'd gotten all messed up with my little son, my baby son that night. And I woke up the next morning mad. Now he wakes up completely well rested and looks at me and was like, what's wrong? What's wrong?
What's wrong?
Yeah. He's like stretching. That was such a good sleep, but even still his voice was the catalyst for me even getting into this, because I remember he looked at me and said, well, you should come up with something better. And then he went downstairs to get breakfast.
Wow.
So those nuggets, that voice that will speak to you consistently, like you were saying, your wife, that's crucial. But it's not just for people who are married.
No.
If you're not married, it doesn't matter. You still have those people in your life that are for you. And I tell entrepreneurs a lot of times, I heard a pastor in a message say, not every dream is for everybody.
True. That's true.
So it might not be your mom. Your mom might not see it. Your closest personal relationships might not see it. It might be a mentor. It might be someone in business that you meet. It might be a neighbor who sees what you're doing and will speak life into it, but you've got to speak life into it. It has to be spoken. It has to be pushed forward. And without that, I believe, like you said, it will die and you'll find it in the cemetery. And I dare to even wonder if some of those dreams are then given to someone else. And what a place of regret when it's all said and done to say, but what could have been. And so I would say that voice of encouragement, that voice that says, don't stop, keep going. That is crucial. And also the voice who knows what you need when you need it. Sometimes you need a kick in the pants.
You do.
Sometimes you just need somebody to rub your back. Sometimes you need for someone to have a tender voice. So really someone who knows you and has the ability to speak that thing into you, to speak life into it. That's powerful.
Hey fam, it's the Dynamic Duo.
And we got something special for you.
It's the collaboration that you have been waiting for. The Dynamic Duo plus OWIG Apparel.
We dropped the OWIG Experience swag bags and it's crazy.
You're gonna get our book, Building from Scratch, the companion workbook, this luxurious risk taker hoodie, and an exclusive OWIG shirt.
It's not just stuff in a box. It's the mindset. It's that reminder that you built from scratch and still keep going.
And there is a special message from us inside, so make sure to scan the QR code.
And go to OWIGapparel.com and grab yours today.
The Dynamic Duo.
OWIG Apparel.
The collaboration you've been waiting for.
One last thing about it. My husband is very outdoorsy. We're very different. And he taught me how to make a fire in the fireplace. And I was shocked. You make the fire, but you really have to spend a lot of time blowing on it. It needs oxygen. It goes out. It could be this big roaring fire. And if you don't have the right mix of oxygen, it'll immediately go out. You watch it get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it's just embers. What's even more fascinating is that sometimes it'll be just like a little red ember. And if you blow on it and you keep blowing on it in the right cadence and give it enough air, it'll catch again. And that is what I believe the voice of someone who loves you, who knows you, or just loves your passion or your business or your endeavor. It might not be business. Whatever your dream is, when they're speaking into it, they're breathing life into it. That's critical.
You said, man, we always say this. Who you married or who you get into relationship with, that person could make you, or that person could break you. So you really gotta be careful, especially as in business and marriage. Like, you have to be careful who you marry, who you get in a relationship with. We could talk about the success. I always say this, right? We could talk about the success, but how about the failure? Because I know there's so many times I learned a lesson. Now I learned a lesson from that failure, tweak it a little bit, right? What's one of your greatest lesson or greatest failure that you learned throughout this journey? You might have so many, but
I would say I have a series, but as I think about them, they fall under one umbrella. And the umbrella is not trusting my gut, not trusting that part of me that's like, I don't know if that's right. Every time I've allowed myself to be swayed, back to what you were saying, the voices you allow to speak and have authority in your life or over your dream. Every time I've gone against that feeling and instead been like, well, they're the expert. Well, this is probably right. I've had to pay the price for that. And it means I've either had to double back or I've had to do it again or I've missed out on something. And so now I am learning to, one, hear that voice, hear that part of me that's saying, I'm not sure if that's right, but then also listen to it. I would say that's the biggest lesson or failure that I keep seeing. Okay, wait, I could have gotten to this faster if I had just trusted myself back then. So why am I not trusting myself? And I've had to see it a few times, unfortunately. And I would say that's the greatest failure / lesson that I have learned and I continue to learn. That I keep telling myself, wait, you feel it. I even tell my kids, do this the easy way. Come on now. Why, if you don't fold those clothes up, I will be back here. Put the screen down. Go on and fold the clothes so I don't have to come back 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're like, Mom. But it's the same thing for us. And I have learned that.
Okay. Let me ask you this now. What is one, how do you, because you mentioned mindset. We were talking about mindset, right? How do you invest in yourself? Now, when it comes to, because you're, as entrepreneur, your mindset gotta be sharp. How do you invest in that mindset for you to take your product that you have, that you invent? How do you do that? Like, so the audience could know.
Good question. How do I do that? My best guess is that it's a couple of things that I do. One, I love people who are ahead of me, who have done it, who are successful. I always tell my son, especially my older son, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You don't want to be the best athlete on the team. You want people you have to chase because they're going to push you to go further. So I like to have people around me who have done it. And they've done it maybe in a better way, or they've done it faster than what I'm doing, because that means that's the immediate place for me to be able to learn. I also like to listen to audiobooks. I don't have a huge list of podcasts, but I love listening to autobiographies or biographies of people who have been successful, particularly those who have failed. Right now, I'm listening to a very long biography about Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th president of the United States, also the general who led the Union to success in the Civil War. I just learned he was known for failing at every single job he had up until he became involved in the Civil War. He failed at every job. He failed at the job his daddy gave him. He failed at all his business endeavors. They were living off his father-in-law's money. He was known as a drunk and a failure. And so I say all that to say that looking at how other people have picked themselves up, Walt Disney, there's so many examples of this. I love listening to their stories, and I use that to sort of build myself up, but also see what are the threads, the common threads in how they became resilient, how they picked themselves back up, how they found another gear. What did they do? So it's a combination of real people in my life, mentors, but as well as looking back at the past, looking at others who have been successful, but oftentimes failed. Because that's crucial. Those are the people that you're going to look at and say, okay, they found it. They were able to do it. It also, I think, bolsters one's ability to envision themselves in the same position, because everybody can commiserate with and understand what it's like to fail. I think when we look at the person that's like, and then I had this success, and then I had this, and then at 23, I had made my first 5 millions. Not that that's a bad story. It's just, I think it's a lot less attainable and recognizable for most people.
Yep.
So I like to have a combination, like I said, of real people speaking into my life, as well as looking back at history. I think past is prologue. That whether it's a general from the Civil War, someone who in no way, shape, or form looks like me or has a similar background, but at the same token, this was a real person who had to find a way to succeed and and then deal with the ramifications of success, because that is also difficult too.
You say everything. You say everything. The mentor, we talk about finding the right mentor, and you listen to audiobook, which I do. I love listening to audiobook and finding the right mentor to basically to speak life, whatever you're doing, right? How is faith? Because in the beginning of our conversation, we was talking about a little bit of faith, like how a faith play a big part of your journey.
Yeah,
you know?
That's a great question.
Because I tell you, sometimes people might look at us as, man, y'all got everything. No, because you're a business owner. You could make your own hours. You got money. You got millions. No, but they don't know what goes behind the scene. No, what goes when we're in the dark. Like, we don't know what we're gonna do. No, to make this payment or to make this idea to come to life. Like, how faith play a big role.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's central and it's critical. I have not yet attained the level of success that I want, and I believe that we will reach. So that even is a challenge, right? To stay in that place of faith when you're making the steps toward it, to still believe. So I would say, first and foremost, it's critical. I know for a fact, if it was not for faith, I would not be sitting here right now. I'd be sitting behind some desk doing a job I hate. Because it required something bigger than me. I had to believe in something bigger than me, calling me out of that. Also, I believe that faith is like, it's like a series of steps.
Yep.
When you take that first step, there's a moment in time when your foot that's lifted is not on anything, right? You're kind of in a one stance, right? You've got one foot on the ground and then the other one is making the move towards the next thing. And faith is what has kept me as I make that move, even if it's taken my foot a while to get on the next step. And then I'm like, I'm here. I made it. Okay. So now I can lift the next foot, even no matter how long it takes to get on that next part of the step. It has been absolutely crucial. I also think that faith is what allows me to have the conversations with myself and before the Lord and say, okay, even if this doesn't turn out the way I want it, I believe I am doing what you have asked me to do. And so that keeps me in a place, I don't want to say protection, but it keeps me in a place where I can be grounded. If this never works out the way I envision it, I believe I have done what I have been asked to do. And I don't know what's going to come of that. I have no idea. My boys love to talk about the business. They love to tell people. I had my younger son's school counselor send me an email and I'm like, what happened? Oh, nothing. He was just telling me about your product. I was wondering, can I buy one? I have no idea, even if this doesn't turn out the way I want, if in 20 years, I will be standing next to the next Jeff Bezos and he'll be able to say, I remember when my mom. I don't know what's going to happen with this business. All I can do is take the next step. But that is so crucial. One of my pastors from back when we were in Virginia was standing in front of a huge crowd. At the time, that church was prolific. We had 5 services over the weekend. We had 5,000 people attending. And I remember he told this story. When he was back in college, before he came to the Lord, he was sitting down in the dining hall, about to eat. A young man came up to him and sat down next to him and said, what is God doing in your life right now? And our pastor said he looked at him, picked up his tray and walked away. But what moved me about that story is that young man never got to see 15 years later when the man who got up and walked away is standing in front of 5,000 people telling them about the Lord. He didn't get to see that. All he did was say, okay, God, you told me to sit down and talk to this guy. I don't know him from Adam. I'm going to ask him this question. But that question stuck with him. And then as the Lord was opening doors and revealing himself to that young man, he ultimately became my pastor and speaking to 5,000 people. That young man may never know how that question he asked. He wasn't asked to see the long run. He was asked to be faithful and sit down and ask this guy a question. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'd love to say we're going to be in Target, we're going to be in Walmart, but I don't know if that's it. In faith, I can believe for that But I can also say, okay, if it doesn't turn out that way, I'm going to trust you, even though that's hard.
That's what. How is it to have because you mentioned your son.
Yeah.
Like my kids, like we make them know the brand. Like we teach them about when it comes to financial literacy,
Yes.
talking about branding. Now we make them work inside the office. Like we teach them, we give back to the community. We make sure that they understand what we doing.
Yeah.
Now the purpose behind it. How is it for you having your son telling a teacher and the teacher reaching out to you?
Like, we're sold out, but yes.
No. Yes. So how did you get them involved?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Honestly, it took me a while. I think our first question was talking about the transition. For a long time, I wanted to protect them and I didn't want them to see the journey. What if I fail? I don't want them to see that. And then I realized I had to involve them. And there is something to be said about them seeing failure.
Yep.
Or seeing perhaps not getting what I would like. Yet and still there's value in that. And like you said, we talk about business. Mm-hmm. Whenever we, now go to the store and it says, debit or credit. What's credit? It's us renting someone else's money. Right. So what do you have to pay? So they understand, and I have the opportunity to speak into that because of the business.
Yep.
I have the opportunity to share why, okay, we're posting it this way instead of that way because it saves mommy money.
Yep.
Or we're going to order it this way instead of that way. Or we have to put our order in now because the high season is coming at this point. So I love that they get that opportunity to see hands-on what I'm doing, and we get to have those conversations and they get to know they're part of it and they're so invested in it, which I love. The other day they saw some new product that had arrived and they're like, oh, you've got new colors. Okay. Well, what about this color? So I love that. And I love that they're involved. And I also hope that in some ways addresses what I experienced, right? Growing up, there's like 4 jobs you can have, especially from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like no, nobody's an entrepreneur. That's not on the list. I don't know where you got that from. My sister is incredibly bright. She's a professor of psychology, but she started off in psychology. And the family was like, is that a real job? What is that? That's mental? No.
Nope.
No. You're a professor? Okay, that's like a teacher. Okay, we let that ride. We let that ride.
Yep.
So there's a very real, it's a joke, but there is something to be said about that. Really feeling like these are the only ways for success. And it wasn't malicious on the part of my family. Mm-hmm. The intent was kind. They wanted us to succeed. And so they wanted to lay out for us what they thought would be the best path to that. But I want my boys to see that 1, they will have to find their own path.
Yes.
And 2, no matter what, it's going to be hard work.
Yep.
And I feel like with the business, they get that opportunity to see mommy's up late. Mm-hmm. There is no tech guy. Mommy's a tech guy. So if it doesn't work, mommy's like Googling, okay, well, how do I do this? That they are learning that things must be built. Or even when we look at companies that they take for granted, Walmart, that's a family business.
Yep.
The Hilton company, that's a family business. That's someone's name is on that. Yep. And you take that as a brand, but that's a family. They had to build that together. And so for me, I think it's actually one of the sweeter parts that I never would have envisioned. And again, I have no idea where that's going to take them. I have no idea what that might inspire in them down the line. I know my older son about a year or 2 ago invented this product. He took like a box from Amazon. And he's like, this solves the problem of me trying to read anywhere in the house, but I don't have like a place to rest my head and a headlamp. So it was like a portable thing that you could take. I think he was like pillow in a box or something. And so we talked about that. And now my younger son writes a contract for everything. Mommy, you said I could have candy if I do this. And then he'll get out his little steno and then he'll, hand it to me and I have to sign it. Yes, because we have come to an agreement, son, but we need to memorialize that agreement. Yep. That's right. So each step they get to bite off a piece of that. And I have no idea where that will take them. And I'm excited by that.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. When it comes to your product, like where did that come from? Like I just wanna where did that come from?
Yeah. So it started off as being very small, like very focused. Mm-hmm. So I remember my first son, I woke up, I could still see his cute little chubby cheeks. I'd finished his feeding. I had a burp cloth on. I had a nursing top, a nursing bra. I had him wrapped in a bib and I just put my robe down. And he managed to bypass all of those products and spit up inside my shirt. And I had this huge burp claw. You know, they started to make them. There's a particular company and it was really trendy to have these huge ones. And it's like draped over my shoulder. And I'm looking at this like, are you kidding me? And then he just kind of falls out. You know, I could still see his little chubby cheeks. And I remember being so mad. And I, you know, decide I'm going to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to forego taking care of me. I'm going to take care of him. I'm going to get him back down. I go out. I take care of myself. I gather all my stuff. And that's why the next morning when I woke up, my husband's like, why are you mad? Because I sat up here cleaning myself. I had to get a shower. I had to clean all the clothes. I was hot. And I've got all these products and none of these work. What is the point? Who invented this? This makes no sense. I was so mad. And then that's when he said to me, you need to come up with something better. And so over time, it has morphed for me to realize it's not necessarily just for nursing or just for moms. Mm-hmm. It's really intended to be a better, smarter robe. That today's, in particular women, they're doing all the things. I say that I am a 2-time mom and I am a 1-time caregiver. I took care of my mom along with my sister before she passed. Earlier this year. And I saw I would have to take care of her, then jump on a call. Then I have to run out the door to go to school pickup. There are all these things. And I was trying to juggle them, but still kind of like keep my clothes nice, still look halfway decent. And so the intent is really to just have a product that kind of flexes the way modern women need it. I think you see it, perhaps most illustrated in those early throes of motherhood, but that's really any busy woman today. Trying to take care of yourself, possibly trying to take care of others, trying to cover all the bases. You've got calls, you've got to be here. You know, the Amazon man drops off a package, you have to sign for all the things that you're expected to do. And this was just intended to be a product to make it quicker and easier and still hold on to a bit of, you know, looking halfway sensible when you get out there. And so that is the aim for this product, that it's a better, smarter robe. You can do whatever you want with it. You can use it in the early days of motherhood and you can keep using it. I put on my makeup, I do my hair, and then, you know, pull it off and my clothes look great. So it's really intended to be a flex product, because I think that's the modern world today. You have to do so many things. It's intended to be able to work as a garment that you can wear it anywhere. Whether you're on a call, you just, you know, hopped in the car line the after school pickup line. It's intended to flex and do all the different things. But the real key and what we patented is the fact that how it closes. So you'll see here, this is actually not my size. This is a large, but you'll see it's just meant to be quick and easy. But again, the intent was that you can move quickly and easily through your day. If you need coverage, you can have it. As I put this on, hopefully. If you need coverage, you can have it. If you want it to be open, you can have it. I've seen people throw it down and use it as like a changing table. I've seen people use it to wipe up messes, that it is intended to be a garment that covers the caregiver, that there's care for the caregiver. Because 9 times out of 10, caregiving is done by women. And so this idea that they have something that'll take care of them as they're doing all the things, even if it's just, like I said, putting your makeup on in the car, but making sure you can pop out of the car and be ready for the call or be ready to meet with someone. And that was the intent, that it would be a little bit smarter, a little bit elevated. When I did my research, I found out that the traditional robe design that we see is over 100 years old. And we really haven't modified it. We just kind of go with it, and it can be comfortable, but that's not something you're going to wear outside. You're not going to be able to run out and pick up your kid in a house coat, as far as I know. I don't know if that's the hotness now, if the kids are wearing house coats out. Those are in all the music videos. I don't know. People rocking house coats.
You said something, and I got 2 things for you. You said something. You make sure that you protect your business. Now you patent it. Yeah. And you trademark it.
Yeah,
no?
Yeah.
So can you, as an entrepreneur, like we don't see sometimes we don't see the value of protecting our brand.
Yeah.
No. And you did that, and I love that.
Yeah.
No, because when you have that idea, somebody might have that same idea, but whoever took action on it, whoever protected, is the one that's gonna win.
That's right.
No, so I'm glad that you did that. My last question for you, for beginning entrepreneur that wanna take a step, have faith to bet on themselves, take a risk on that dream.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them for the beginning entrepreneur, for the seasoned entrepreneur, that's been in business 2, 3, 5, 10 years. They want to take their business to the next level, right? They have this great product, great idea that they want to invent, they want to do. What advice would you give to each?
Yeah. I'm going to take it in reverse order. And I will say that again, since we're launching the sale process right now, I'm still not in that place where I'd love to be. What I know, particularly from my father-in-law, who has been, he was successfully in business for over 30 years, and I call him fairly frequently. What I would say is about the business owner that's a little bit more seasoned, maybe not that far along, but has established themselves. Find out how you can press or challenge yourself. What's the next thing you can do to generate revenue? What's that new thing? Is it a new color if it's a product line? Is it a new a version of a new design? Is it a broader service offering? Is it taking your service offering online? Is it getting something that's mobile? Is it getting brick and mortar? What's the next thing that maybe scares you? And I think that that's a great indicator of where you might want to go next. For the brand new person, the person who's thinking about it, I feel strongly that you need to write that down, write the vision and make it plain, that you need to write it down so you can look at it and you can determine, is this really something I want to do? Not just write down what the idea is or the plan is, but write down where you want to be, because it's really important to be able to see the end game, because it's hard to plan for something if you don't know where you're going.
Oh, that's true.
So write that down and say, even if it's in the next year, I'd want this, or I want a business that does that. Okay. So what are the steps? What are the pieces you need to put in place to get to that, whatever your that is? I think that's crucial, and hold on to it. I still have the little drawing that I wrote, my little janky drawing that I wrote and little notes that I wrote next to it. That's crucial. That's going to hold you down. That's going to keep you centered. And it gives you a blueprint, even if it's not very well fleshed out. It's still a blueprint, and that's critical.
There you have it. How can somebody get in touch with you, to get your product?
Yeah.
Now, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So we will be getting a product delivery while supplies last in about a week. So you can go to www.oceeto.com, and that's OCEETO.com. It's actually a play on the Spanish word for teddy bear, little bear. That's a nod to my mother-in-law, who we lost, but she was from El Salvador, a native Spanish speaker. So we wanted to keep that in the family. So that's Oceeto.com, OCEETO.com. You can find us online, or you can follow us on social media, especially on Instagram, which is at OCEETO.LLC. It's Oceeto.LLC is our handle on Instagram. So we would love to see you. Follow us, check us out, learn more about our garment. Again, I envision this for moms and busy women of all stripes and all seasons. So definitely check us out.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it, man. Listen, man, I will see you guys on the next episode.
You've been listening to the Risk Taker Podcast, created for those who bet on themselves and build beyond limits. Make sure to follow us at Risk Taker Podcast, leave a review, and let us know how this episode inspired you. To get in touch, email teams at owigmultimedia.com. Until next time, keep taking the risk and keep chasing your dreams.